We would like to talk about the Jesus Christ who tells us that to follow him is not given to everybody. He, he, he said that he's a shepherd. That's John 10. That's where we are. We're talking about Jesus revealing to us that if we hear his voice, then we are really his sheep. You know, you remember when he said himself that my sheep hear my voice. That's still in 10:27. My sheep hear my voice. I know them. They follow me. I call them by their name. So you understand, and what's enticing me today the most as I come to talk to you is to let you know that it's you are Jesus' sheep. You hear his voice. Is to let you know that Jesus declared, and still in this book, John 10, and let's read it because that's where we will be emphasizing the most. John 10, John chapter 10, verse 5, he said, they will never follow a stranger. They will never follow a stranger. That's enticed me and made me think twice. The sheep, those who belong to Jesus Christ, those who belong to the good shepherd, will never follow a stranger, but will run away from him. Strangers who come and try to entice you. Jesus predicts already that if you are his sheep, when the strangers come, you will run away from them. Are you Jesus' sheep? Do you run away from strangers? Do you? Or when the strangers come, you go after them? My sheep hear my voice. I know them. They follow me. So he says that because he knows that you are. If you are the sheep, you hear his voice. And look what he's saying that he said in the same sentence in verse 5. He said, because they do not know the voice of strangers. So if you hear the voice of Jesus Christ, if you hear in your heart Jesus Christ calling you, it means that you are his sheep. Refusing to follow him is to put yourself in trouble. Because strangers who come, and if you said, in this point, what I'm feeling that the Lord is revealing to me is that, first of all, if you are a follower of Jesus Christ, if you are really called to be a Christian, you are called to be, you're going to hear his voice. That's the first point. You hear his voice. As I'm talking to you, maybe you're listening to me and you are not a Christian. You really don't even know what being a Christian. But you hear the voice telling you, this is the right message. This is what you are. You are a Christian. But you don't want to follow. You're exposing yourself. The Bible tells us multiple times that today, if you hear his voice, do not harden your heart. Let's read that a little bit because that comes over and over. And because you are the sheep. If you hear his voice today, you have opportunity to listen to me and you hear the voice of Jesus, Christ telling you to follow. Don't harden your heart. Maybe you are Muslim, maybe you are Hindu, maybe you are Buddhist, whoever you are following, listen. If you can hear the voice of Jesus Christ, mean you are not that, whatever you are following, you are exposed. you will die. Jesus saying, well, if I say we will die, you know the Bible tells us that if we follow Jesus, we will never die. Even if we die, we'll live. That's important. I think I've talked about it multiple times. If you have opportunity to listen to different messages, you'll find that it is important. The Bible tells us clearly. But here we come to say that if you hear His voice, don't harden your heart. The children of Israel hardened their heart before. That's what we say here in Hebrew 3:15. Listen to here. He said, as it has been said, today if you hear His voice, do not harden your heart as you did in rebellion. Talking about the children of Israel, for who were the one who heard and rebelled? Were they not all those Moses led out of Egypt? So those who were stubborn, they were the sheep. They belonged to God, and God is talking to them through Moses. They hardened their heart, and those people didn't reach promised land. And even those who reached the promised land, the voice of God came to them through the prophet, through different people that God sent. They hardened their heart. They were doomed. They were called to die because they are following what is not supposed to. In Psalm 95, verse 7, hear what is said, and for he is our God, and we are the people of His pasture, the sheep under His care. Today, if you hear His voice, so if you hear the voice of God, if you hear the voice of Jesus Christ, through me or through somebody talking about it, it means that you are Jesus' sheep. He said, don't harden your heart. I still remember what Jesus could tell the Apostle Paul, who was, of course, he was a follower of God, but he was not a Christian. He was fighting Christian, killing them, doing everything he could. Jesus said that it's going to be hard for you to resist against those pricks, against those messages you hear. He knew Jesus was talking to him, even when he was attacking the Christian, that he is his sheep. It will be hard to continue hiding. If we continue it, I don't think he would have lived. I don't think we would have had the Apostle Paul writing all those books. Today, if you hear his voice, don't harden your heart. It said again, still in Hebrew, let's go Hebrew 4, verse 7. It said, God again designated a certain day as today, when a long time later he spoke through David, as was just stated. Today, if you hear his voice, do not harden your heart. So let's go back to our topic. It's John 10. John 5 says, they will never follow a stranger, but will run away from him, because they do not know the voice of strangers. So you, as a follower of God, you do not know the voice of strangers. When you start going aside, when you refuse Jesus Christ, when you harden your heart, that's where you get in trouble. If you follow this book, and Jesus said, I am the door. So if you come to Jesus, you go through that door, you get strength, and you come out, you are successful. In Jesus, there is security. Jesus is, I'm a good shepherd. I go ahead of my people. If there is an attack, I am in front of. I am the commander. I'm the captain. I fight. And whatever happens, he becomes part of you. He fights for you. So why are you hardening your heart? Because he is the good shepherd. He is the one who's calling you. He is the one who's talking to you through me. He is the one who we want your soul. So don't be resistant. If you receive this word, say after me, Lord, I'm sorry for hardening my heart. I accept you as the Lord and Savior. That's today. You are my Lord, and I'll follow you all the rest of my life. You died